Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Micron. It is time for another update, and it seems we have managed to break here within the smaller time frame the resistance levels that would have allowed us to extend directly in this internal wave to the downside. Now, does this mean we have a bottom in place? Well, a bottom could be in place, but this doesn't guarantee it. We unfortunately didn't also manage to create an initial 5-wave move to the upside in this pattern, and we still have the possibility to track larger resistance levels, which means there is still strong pressure to extend lower prices. We don't have any clear signal of a breakout occurring at this point. Now, before we get into the details, into the levels to watch out for, into what type of structures we really could expect in this movement to the upside, I want to provide the context of this chart. So, on the larger time frame, we are tracking two main scenarios. We have the white interpretation, in which we would expect this to be building a large wave 1 to the upside within the area of a leading diagonal. This would be basically towards the end of this structure. Not absolutely necessary, but likely at this point, right? And then we would expect, once we complete this internal blue structure, to quite easily extend into a much larger correction in a wave 2 into the white area of support. Now, I cannot provide you at this point the exact levels for the wave 2 area of support, as this area would need to be adjusted based on the length of this internal structure. So if we move to higher prices within this wave 5 in blue, we would also need to extend this white area of support, but as a fallback, in the case of the failure of the blue structure, we would expect to reach at least $53.6, yeah? If we get a break below $221, that would be a quite bearish sign. Then we have the yellow interpretation, in which we are tracking the larger wave 3 to form in a pretty direct fashion. It would instead require us to track a series of 1-2 setups in this entire movement to the upside, and this would have been our wave 3 that would still be currently in formation. We would still expect to extend to higher prices within this wave 3. Now, the beautiful part is that within both of these scenarios, we currently expect the blue scenario to be playing out, yeah? Within both white and yellow interpretations, we expect to extend to higher prices within what we are tracking in the blue interpretation, and we find that to be the most likely outcome, which provides confluence, which provides increased probabilities, increased likelihood of this actually working out. Now, in this internal pattern, we have been tracking this idea of an impulse in this blue structure, which is what actually allows this to be the wave 3 in yellow. And in this pattern, we could be looking at the wave 3 to actually have a top in place. It's not absolutely necessary, but it's certainly a possibility, and we have already reached the area of support we would expect for a follow-up wave 4 correction, which technically allows us to even consider a bottom to be in place. And if we are to actually extend higher within a wave 5 in a direct fashion, we might actually like to track continuation to even higher prices, considering this to have possibly been an extension within this wave 3. But at this point, this will not be a focus. We will focus on a wave 5 regardless of its exact positioning in this overall structure. And in this development, we are looking to either build a 3-wave correction within this as a wave 4, or possibly a triangle. Now, the latter is certainly more difficult to cover, and we would require much more evidence before we consider that a likely outcome. So we will leave it there today, just as a mention. So, in this internal structure, we have been looking for a potential initial 5-wave move to the downside. We have been highlighting that this could theoretically have been in place. We would have liked, however, to extend within one more low if we were to build a more clearly complete 5-wave pattern, as the momentum in this latest push to the downside has really increased before forming its reversal, suggesting the possibility of this being still part within the wave 3. So we have been tracking this orange interpretation, where we would have expected this wave 4 to get rejected without getting a sustained break above $395 at the 61.8% retracement. Now, this has become a reality today. This interpretation is really no longer a valid scenario for me, And it begs the question, have we actually formed a 5-wave move to the downside within this previous structure? I have to say it's a possibility. I believe we outlined this in the previous video as well. And we outlined regardless that even if we break this area of resistance, it wouldn't mean that the wave 4 in blue would be complete. It wouldn't be a definitive signal for this case, but we would need to break afterwards the resistance area for a larger wave B potentially. So I would no longer track this interpretation. I would no longer look for direct extensions within this wave to the downside, but this doesn't prevent me from tracking a larger A, B, C structure, and this will remain particularly under strong pressure as long as we do not get a break above the 78.6% retracement, which sits at $432, right? If we get a sustained break above this level of resistance, it would be a much more healthy indication that an actual bottom within the wave 4 would be in place. Now, this wouldn't be a guarantee, but it would make it much more likely. Now, what else do we have within this structure? Well, this would be a wave B. And in this pattern, we would be tracking a 3-wave correction, right? The wave B cannot be a 5-wave move to the upside. And what happens to be in favor of its case is the structure we have been tracking in the previous video, where we have been looking for an initial 5-wave move to the upside. And we might have gotten it. We could even consider that this has been the wave 5, that we had the initial 5-wave pattern, but then the follow-up correction would have been quite insufficient for what we could expect for a larger wave 2. This allows two main possibilities. Either we actually built this pattern in white, but then this would have been unlikely to be a wave 2. It would work out into something like an A, B, C structure, which could work out very well for what we would be tracking for this wave B in orange, right? We would have a 3-wave correction. But then we could also perhaps consider this to be something like an ending diagonal within the wave 5 in blue. Yeah, this could allow the bullish scenario to be playing out, where this would have been an A, B, C pattern within a wave 1. We would have here an A, B, C pattern within a wave 2, and we would be looking for something like an A, B, C pattern within the wave 3. Well, it works out as a valid interpretation from a technical perspective, but it's not going to provide us strong likelihood of it actually working out. Now, in such a scenario, we would expect to reach within this wave 3 the ideal target at $444, the 138.2% extension of the wave 1. We will have to be patient and see how this further develops, but so far, the structure isn't looking too favorable, as even within a wave C in this movement to the upside, it's not looking likely to manage to build such a strong extension. Now, of course, it is perfectly possible. We could have this as an ending diagonal within wave C, and this could be the wave A of a much larger A, B, C pattern within the wave 3. It could get there alone, no problem, but I am waiting for the evidence. I do not have too much trust in the pattern itself. It hasn't really provided further opportunities, and really beyond this as a larger wave 4 area of support in blue, we haven't had opportunities beyond this. So anyone who would have used our area of support from a larger time frame perspective would currently be quite happy, I suppose. Yeah, we actually got quite a nice extension. So I want to congratulate anyone who would have used this larger area of support for the wave 4 in blue, right? We did reach it, we did fulfill the minimum expectations. Now we want to see the evidence. So in orange, we will be tracking this as an A, B, C structure. And let's say in green, we will be tracking this as a larger ending diagonal that could form the more substantial top within this overall pattern. But in the end, internally in this structure, we would still be tracking the same wave C in both interpretations. So we have here an internal A, B, C we can be tracking in green. And within this wave C, we are tracking a 5-wave move to the upside in both outcomes. This means we can track it within blue to aggregate the scenarios, because again, this works out within both interpretations. And until I actually get more evidence that this would see an extension within a stronger wave C, part of this wave 3, I would probably prefer to even consider the possibility of a top being in place within this overall wave 3. I would be looking for the area of support at the levels between $404.4 down to $386.3. From this region, we can expect to form one more high within either scenario, within either interpretation, where a break below the 61.8% retracement would be a pretty substantial warning that a more significant top would already be in place. I do not find it too likely to not get this additional extension to higher prices, but given the current environment, we should expect some distortions, especially within the smaller time frame, and we should be prepared even for such a possibility. Now, if we break it, do we still have a chance to recover and extend to higher prices? Well, technically yes. We could be looking for this to have been all just a wave A, part of a larger wave 3 in something like an A, B, C structure. This could work out, but I do not find this to be a likely scenario at all. So, below $386.3, I am quite prepared to see a more substantial failure of this pattern to extend to higher prices, and above $432 for a recap, we would expect the likelihood of a direct push in the fifth wave in blue to become much more likely. And as always, we would like to see a sustained break for this to be a better and more clear indication. And one more thing we can cover before we end this video would be here on the large time frame. From an RSI perspective, we have technically recovered enough. We have pushed to low enough prices that it would allow this structure to extend directly to higher prices within a wave 5. Does it have to? I personally would prefer for this to form another extension in this wave 4 in blue, especially if it is the larger structure that has this wave 3 complete, where it's not an extension of this wave 3 to the upside, where in this case, yes, extending directly higher might make more sense, but for the overall expectation of a larger wave 4, I would still prefer another low within this pattern. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you high quality structures. Other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover. I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead, and until then, I wish you a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.